I've been really fortunate to travel to a lot of places all around the world, but somewhere I keep going back to is the Maldives. I've been there about 6 times now, and I've stayed in both the resort and the local islands. I love it because of the surf, the idyllic island lifestyle, and it's just a slightly slower pace to the rest of life. Yeah, so I get 2 weeks off over Christmas, New Year period from my training in the pre-season, and this year, through CT Connections, my girlfriend and I were flown to Canada, where my sister was working on the slopes for the season, and we did 2 weeks of snowboarding there, but I was also training in Calgary. I had a high performance training program that I had to complete whilst I was over there, so I'd train in the morning, do my running and weights, and then go back and snowboard in the afternoon. And thanks to CT Connections, I was able to fly over and back and be ready to go for training come the start of January. Primarily surfing, coming from Western Australia with good surf. I've grown up around surfing, but in the last 12 months I've actually taken a keen interest in snowboarding and was lucky enough to go to Canada over Christmas, and I think in the coming years I'll be doing a lot more snowboarding. Yeah, so I'm investigating Chile and Peru. There is, by the seams of it, you can snowboard and surf at the same time of the year because the distance from the mountains to the ocean is only quite small by car, so that might be somewhere on the hit list at the end of the year. Well, I've surfed in Norway before with a 6mm wetsuit on with snow-covered mountains, and that was a euphoric type experience. So to be able to surf and snowboard potentially on the same day would be pretty cool. Yeah, so my best travel tips, which I've gained from travelling a lot, Perth to Melbourne, Perth to Brisbane, Perth to Sydney, but also internationally, the biggest tip would be plan your travel mentally. What does it look like if it's 4 hours or 12 hours? Are you spending your time studying or doing business, or are you sleeping, or is there a period to watch some movies? If you go in there unplanned, the hours can just seem to drag on forever and ever. Yeah, I've got a lot. It's a big bucket, but short term, I'm planning South Central America, so Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and then down to Chile, Peru, those type of areas. I've been meaning to do it for a number of years, but for whatever reason it hasn't worked out, but that's my next destination. I have a few family friends who are pilots, and that's always intrigued me, this idea of flying, and helicopters in particular. They seem quite interesting, and I started getting my private pilot licence when I first started playing AFL, and over the course of 3 years graduated onto my commercial licence, and I've been a fully blown pilot for about 3 years now, and who knows where that'll go in the future. At the moment I use it more recreationally, fly home, see mum and dad, fly down south and go for a surf, but who knows where that'll go. When I was a trainer pilot, I'd only done about 45 hours and flew into essentially a bushfire, and the smoke plume had billowed up to 1,500 foot, and I lost all visibility, and I went through my emergency procedures and got out, no worries, but there was about 10 seconds there where I thought that was the end. I grew up in a really humble family. We're from the country, about 4 hours inland from the coast, and so our yearly holiday was a 1 week, pack the car up and drive to the nearest beach, which was about 3.5 hours south to Bremer Bay and Albany, and we'd spend a week there in and around the beach. Very humble, and I'm probably quite grateful for it. I never got to experience international or even eastern states travel until I became a professional football player. We were travelling through Portugal. We had a van, and we went to the service station and to fuel up, and it was a diesel van, and we filled it up with petrol, and we're stranded in the middle of Portugal for a couple of days while we got this car fixed. So the things you learn while you travel. I always pack a good pair of sunglasses. I usually wear like an Otis that doesn't scratch the lenses, so you can just chuck them in your backpack, chuck them in the carry-on section of the plane. They won't get scratched. I have noise-cancelling headphones from Bose, essential. I always take my laptop with me, so I've got connectivity and can keep working. They're probably the 3 main ones. I've been to a lot of American college sport and some NBA. The event that I really want to go to is the Tour de France. obviously the athletes and the beautiful countryside and all of that, but also the pilots, the helicopters that they use for filming that thing is pretty first class. So the Tour de France is on the hit list. I'm Nathan Fyfe from the Fremantle Dockers, and you're watching The Departure Lounge.